This is Business Talk, your business, your success. Sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given is not intended to replace that of your business advisor. Now, let's get down to talking about your business, your success. This is Business Talk.
Well, good afternoon, Peg.
Good
Here
afternoon,
we go.
Pete. Yes, it's great to be with you guys again this fine Saturday.
Right, here in beautiful Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio.
Yes, we got some nice weather stacked up, so it's really nice.
Yes, it is.
So,
and we've got a great show for you today.
We do. We're going to talk. Our title of our show, Alan, our esteemed producer, is Make Your Own Luck.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we surprise Alan, and this is a surprise.
Yes, there we go.
Yes.
There we go.
So we've got an article here, and Peg and I are going to talk about the article, but also our own experiences with ourselves and our clients about how they come on to great opportunities and how you can help that happen to yourself more often.
Right, because it's interesting, Pete. A lot of people, my friend Jana always says, I hate it when they say, you're just lucky, because you do get to make your own luck. And we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yes,
and how there's
are.
3 elements that make up making your own luck and what that is and how you go about it. And then we have some case studies. But before that, Pete, research director Pete McDowell.
Yes, we always do a little bit of good news. And, we've got a lot of individual things here, but we're going to make them short. So jobless rate hits a 17-year low. Historic expansion shows little sign of slowing, though wage growth remains slow. This is an article out of the Wall Street Journal with all kinds of charts and graphs, and it said the jobless rate's down to 3.9%, which is typically it's below what we would call normal rates of unemployment. So, and it's at the lowest level since December 2000. And some of the things that they say in here, though, is that Americans show signs of rejoining the labor force after years spent on the economy's sideline, not looking for jobs after the recession. So one of the reasons wages aren't shooting up faster is there are millions of people that are on the sidelines that are coming back into the workforce. And they're putting a little pressure on keeping wages lower because of that. And the second thing is, and I hadn't thought about this, many younger workers with lower wages are replacing some of the older folks that are retiring, suppressing average pay nationwide.
That makes sense. And, one thing, Pete, I know we're in our good news moment, and I do want to interrupt just our listeners to tell you one thing we're seeing across the board is we are seeing companies trying to pluck out team members
from other
companies. It is everywhere. It's every industry.
Yeah.
You are, and if you don't know this, your team members are getting phone calls to work other places right now.
Everybody should be aware of that. Managers, yes. Business owners, just be aware that this is happening. You have one client that's a relatively large professional services company, which we won't talk about who it is, but their phones are ringing daily.
Multiple.
From outside companies trying to get a hold of their workers.
Multiple. This is multiple professional service companies. Also, we have specialty industries like trades. Trades
for sure.
For sure. And so just as we're looking at the good news, I just want you to have that conversation with your employees or team members. Have an open conversation so that your door is open so you can see it coming, so we can offset it, so you understand how they're supposed to handle it, making sure that your wages are competitive, your culture is great, that you are a listener and a leader, because right now it matters more than ever.
And one of our clients in the last few days has just recently raised wages blanket across the board for all of their folks because of the competitive pressure to keep people.
Right, which is funny because you just said that the wages are staying down because of that industry.
Well, the interesting thing, here's another paragraph out of this article, again out of the Wall Street Journal. It says economists predict falling unemployment will boost wages further, as has already happened in industries like construction. So in some industries where it's hands-on, they said that sector added 257,000 jobs over the last year, and industry wages are up 3.5%. So inflation's still 2%, but these wages are almost double. The increases are almost double the general economy.
There you go.
And it said the percentage of prime age workers, which is people between 25 and 54 who are looking for work, has risen from about 80% in 2015 to 82%. So a higher percentage of people in the prime working years are working.
That's good. I like that. Okay, so more good news. So that was really good
more
news.
Good news.
And the impact it's having all around us. Okay. So
revenue surge boosts state coffers. So state budget officials from Utah to Connecticut are reporting higher tax revenue and a brighter fiscal outlook thanks to an improved national economy and robust job growth. So individual states still have some issues, but overall, they're bringing in more money so they can pay their bills.
That's always a good thing.
Good news on the labor market. The Black and Hispanic jobless rates are at record lows, record that they've ever been. And there's an article about that. It's gotten Hispanic rate is down to 4.8%, which is almost a rate of everybody else. This is an interesting one. Now, we keep on some technology things. So in Japan, national push for automation. They don't have enough workers either. They've got automated cow milking going on. They've got a picture of it here, but holy cow.
No pun intended. I see it. It
Isn't
is
that
automated
awesome?
cow.
That's
And then I
pretty
see
cool.
one more piece of news. In
Yeah,
your
one
hands
more
there.
piece of news. Shippers reap profits by transporting fresh food. So one of the shipping industry's hottest markets is cold boxes. Demand to ship fresh food across the oceans is twice as high as it is for other products. We've got refrigerated containers now that can keep food fresh for more than a month. And distributors, and this is good for the United States because we produce a lot of food.
Right.
And they're shipping it all over the world now.
Well, there we go. That is
Yeah.
good news. Okay,
That's great.
excellent news. All right, Pete, that is good.
There
Good
we
job
go.
on the research.
So business coaches, what's a business coach, Peg?
Yes. So what Pete and I do is we work with teams. We do training. And what's the difference between training and coaching? So training is we'll go in and we'll do, let's say it's an hour, a 2 hour, a 1 day, a 2 day specific topic over a period of time, teaching. Training is all about teaching. What coaching is coaching is about teaching initially. That's what you have to do in order to grow. But then it's about how do I apply it? So looking at it and really diving into how can I take what I just learned and apply it in my business? And then the third part is making sure it's implemented. And that's it, accountability. So coaching takes training to a new level. So
It's lasting change. That's really what we're about,
yes.
is helping companies to make lasting change. For the
Sustainable
better.
change. You know, you go to these training sessions and you know they're so good and you get pumped up and you're like,
Sure.
this is what we need. Then you go back to your class, or you go, not your class, you go
And
back to your,
Pretty soon you're overwhelmed with
business.
your 200 emails you got today.
and you forget everything you learned. Coaching is a way of marrying that. And that's what we do for people throughout Ohio as well as other states.
Some across the country.
Yes,
right?
some across the country. So that's what we're doing today. And then what Pete and I are going to do is we're going to share with you some teachings. Our goal, Pete, right, is this radio show is about teaching first.
Right.
We
Help
wanna-
you educate yourself. And then how do you apply it in your business? And that's why we give so many business examples. Here's how it worked with a company. Here's how it didn't work with a company. So we'll
Right.
go through some of those things.
Right. And we do executives. So those are the leaders, the presidents, or the vice presidents, directors, managers,
Right.
even store managers, and as well as team members,
Right.
and then the entire business. So depending on what each person needs.
And we have a firm here in Columbus, and we actually have Michelle and Dawn, who are coaches in our firm.
Yes.
And we can work with anybody pretty much anywhere.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well, so Pete, let's. Okay. So what made you? Pete pulled this topic. What made you pick this?
One of the reasons we do the good news segment is that there's a lot of negative news out there, right? If you are a Martian and you zoomed in and just turned on the television and started reading the newspaper, you think that things were going really poorly everywhere.
All the
Because
time.
that's what sells for the most part. There's all kinds of bad things that are getting reported on over and over and over again. And this thing popped out because it said, make your own luck. And I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. And I started reading it. And I had heard a long time ago that luck was the intersection of preparation and opportunity.
Right.
And this has a little bit different twist
I
on
like
it.
theirs.
But this talks really specifically about some of the things that we work with our clients on, sometimes every week, about and you business owners out there and managers of big departments, you know you're under a lot of pressure all the time.
Right.
Things are always changing. We talk about this technology stuff. They're milking a cow without a person. I mean, think about what's going on with automated warehousing and all this stuff, and we're doing things we didn't do 20 years ago.
Right,
And
right.
You've got to change
Right.
your company and what your department does and what your people do in the
Innovation
field,
is key.
how you sell. Everything is changing, and that's fine. But what this talks about is how do you help yourself to stay positive as much as possible. We're going to have moments when we're a little down about something or other, but we've got to find a way to take care of ourselves well enough to be able to pop back up.
That is, I'm glad. I want to stop you on that and how important that is on staying positive, because you are right. We as running businesses, running teams, have a lot of pressure, lots of changing happening,
Of course.
and we have to embrace it and put a smile on our face and fake it until we make it.
And sometimes we have leaders, and I can think of a couple of them. And I've been in the position myself where, as a leader, sometimes you feel like I'll protect my folks from some of these outside forces. And, when you do that for a long period of time, you get worn out too.
Right.
The wind's pushing
like
you
the
around.
hail,
Or you're
like
pushing the rock up the hill, and it can wear you out.
It's so true. And so as we're diving into this, as we come back from break, talking about how you make your own luck, and we're going to tell you when you return what the new intersection was.
Yes.
So Pete gave you the old one, which was preparation meets opportunity. We're going to give you another intersection theory on how to make luck, which I really like.
Fantastic.
But it does start with you. You're right, Pete. It's all about your approach. And but when we return, we're going to give you some case studies of what we've been seeing as well.
Great.
Could your business use some help? Call 614-306-7922 to schedule your coaching session. 614-306-7922. Now, here's more business talk.
Okay, well, Peg and I are business coaches here in Columbus, Ohio, and we're talking about how do you make your own luck.
Yes. And
we're not talking about gambling.
Right, exactly. Right. So when you first, and right before break, you talked about how we were taught. Of course, you've heard the harder you work, the luckier you get. You've heard that, right?
Yeah,
Harder
right.
you
That's
work,
a
the
good
luckier
one.
you get.
Right.
The second one is luck is the point in which opportunity meets hard work.
Preparation.
Preparation.
Yeah.
Now, what is, we're looking through this article, and I really like the definition that they have.
Well, their definition, it says luck occurs at the intersection of random chance, talent, and hard work.
So talent is the other one.
You got to have some talent.
So you say chance, which would be opportunity possibly.
Right.
But I like the talent.
And I like the story. They start out with a story. And this is a gentleman named Scott Crane. He became the president of the fast food restaurant, and I don't think we have this here, Smash Burger.
I've heard of it.
You've heard of Smash Burger?
I don't know that we have it here.
In 2007, he became the president of this company. It was a smart concept, but according to Mr. Crane, there was something that helped them to really explode. The recession of 2008 hit shortly after he took over, and Americans were looking for more value when they dined out. Also, real estate prices had crashed in a lot of parts of the country. They crashed big time. They were able to expand in a way that they never would have been able to do had it happened a few years before that. So by the time he left the company in 2016, so in 8 years, they went from a handful to 330 restaurants in 7 countries.
He really built it.
Huge expansion.
He took advantage of the opportunity in that case, which is, well, they're calling it.
Two big things. One is people were looking for economical ways to eat out, right? One. And then number two, real estate prices were really bad in some parts of the country, and they took advantage of it and bought property that they wouldn't have otherwise gotten. He was in the right place at the right time, and then he did something about it. That's the other thing, is the action part. You've got to do something. So random chance is not all of it. It's only a part.
Right. And it's a talent. It was his ability to understand and see the opportunity and seize it. And so here's a question for you as you're listening is, what opportunities are out there for you that you haven't quite uncovered, nor have you seized? Well,
that leads into one of their first principles that they talk about in this article. And this actually came out of a book. It says Mr. Marsh wrote a book called How Luck Happens, Using the Science of Luck to Transform Work, Love, and Life.
I like this. Okay, got it.
So the first principle, he says, pay attention. Now, it sounds simple, but a lot of our business owners get up in the morning, they go to work, and they stay at their place of work, and they go home. And they're tired. So by paying attention, and we'll get into this a little bit, but we work with our clients on, hey, when's the last time you went to an outside event, a trade group with people like you, or when's the last time you went to a conference to hear some speakers or authors talk about a concept and how to get people to do more, how to sell more, or whatever it is. So paying attention to what's going on in your marketplace and trends is important.
Well, and taking a moment there, we call that working on your business versus in your business. Because, and you know what, we were at a conference ourselves, and Pete and I go, and so do Michelle and Don, we all go and get a training every couple months where we are learning something new.
Right. Several times a year.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things is that we saw one speaker said to invest 10% of what you make into yourself.
Right.
As a rule of thumb.
Yep.
So let's say you make $100,000, that would be $10,000, right? Each year.
Right.
So I mean,
and in a day perspective, if you work 200 days a year, which a lot of us do, that would be 20 days a year.
Right.
That you'd be developing yourself or training yourself. And even if you did 5%, you'd be way ahead of the average leader or executive in the country.
Right. Because the first thing that you cut is training and development.
In some cases.
It's the first thing you cut when you're in a bind or if you're too busy. And so what we want to do is say, first, pay attention. I like that, working on your business. And then here's another thing to pay attention. We had a case study, Pete. You and I had done a interview of. So when we come in, so Pete and I are business coaches, right? Executive coaches. And sometimes one of the things we do, of course, each engagement is customized, is we might interview some of the team members in your environment just to see what their perspectives are.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the things that we did here, this wasn't too long ago, is that he's always on his phone. He's always so busy. He's not looking, he's not looking at me. And so what we want you to do is, that's part of paying attention, is when you leave your office, be present at what you're seeing around you.
Right. So let me read a little bit from this article. And again, this is out of a book called How Luck Happens, Using the Science of Luck to Transform Work, Life, and Love. Researchers who study attention and perception distinguish between narrow focus, or seeing specifics, and open focus, observing the wider scene. The most important talent anyone who seems lucky possesses is the ability to pay attention on many levels and to notice opportunities. So in other words, you don't worry that you have a lot of information coming at you, but you can figure out a way to get to the stuff you really need and focus on it.
I like that. That is good. So paying attention. And so we're challenging you. Oh, here's another thing of, this is just has to do with paying attention. But when people are moving, if you can position yourself as one of your managers, look at people as they're walking in your place of business to work. If you can position, like look out a window or look around, because see how they're walking. Are their shoulders,
their body language?
Yes, their body language. Thanks, Pete.
Yeah.
Are they like excited and talking to each other and grabbing each other?
They want to get after it, right?
It will show you a lot of your culture by watching people walk in from the parking lot.
Yeah, that's true. Or even watch them as they park their car. Now, I've noticed this as a manager before. Do they meticulously take the time to back into their parking space so you can escape very quickly when the workday's over?
Yes.
I always got a chuckle out of that. Like, what are you doing, man?
Yes. Well, it's just something to look at, because it's just about being present and looking at opportunities. I like that about the luck is what are you seeing, and are you being present? That's
and
good.
How to be aware. And then, so the question could be for you, some of you listeners out there, and this is Peg and Pete with Business Talk. We're talking about making your own luck. What could I do to get out of my comfort zone or get out of my narrow focus? I'm in my business working hard. I'm doing what I need to do. What could I do to expand my horizons a little bit within my own sphere of influence, or go to an event in the city or somewhere, or go to a training conference that would be different from what I've done in the last couple of years?
Well, one thing we talk about that, Pete, is called increasing your vision. How can you increase your vision and see what else is out there? And one thing is to go outside of your city, or within your city to another. What if you went to a competitor of yours and looked at how they were doing things? Or a industry that's similar
like it's
to
secretly hired or something. Yeah.
Yes, you could do that. You could do that. But I was thinking more of just observing, or even going to a different city with one of your industries and just opening your eyes a little bit.
Or The Undercover Boss. What if if it's a big company? Yeah, that show is interesting.
It's absolutely.
So the next tip that these folks give is to get off the standard path.
Okay.
So think about what that means.
Now we're talking about how do you make your own luck.
Yeah, how do you make your own luck?
Steps.
Yep.
One was be present, right, and looking for opportunities. This one is to get off. Okay, so tell me a little more about
standard path.
that.
So mathematicians who study game theory have concluded that in highly competitive conditions, the best move is often the most unpredictable move. Lucky people are often the outliers who find a path that others don't even see.
That's interesting.
Warner Brothers executive, I think this is interesting because I remember the show. I mean, I watched this with the kids.
I did too.
Warner Brothers executive Michael Darnell made his name in the 90s by championing offbeat specials at Fox such as Joe Millionaire and Temptation Island, projects that essentially launched reality TV. This is quite a while ago.
Well, it was in the 90s, so
the genre was scorned by everybody else in the industry thought this was just trash television. And this music mogul, Simon Fuller, came to Hollywood pitching a reality show. Mr. Downell was one of the few executives willing to meet with him. Ultimately, he bought the show American Idol. It became one of the most successful programs in television history.
All because somebody went off the beaten path. And that's innovation.
And people thought they were crazy.
Right. And how many times, and here's the thing about innovation. So we are so proud of our client here locally, Paul J. Ford, which is a structural engineering company. We have North American conference. What is it called? The BEF, the Business
Excellence Forum. Yeah.
And they're awards given to coaches who submit their clients for these awards.
Right.
And we had, and we're talking 700 people competing.
Right.
And Paul J. Ford Structural Engineers, they won the most innovative company in the North America. I mean, it was a big deal.
And really, this invention that they created and have had manufactured, and it's in use. Everybody sees these cell towers around the state, around the country. They're all over the place, and they're going up faster. And we're putting more and more things on them because we want to communicate more, right?
Right.
And what they did is they invented something that helps the contractors who build these things to build the towers faster in the field. They can erect a tower much quicker
and better
and stronger.
And that's something off the beaten path.
It's an innovation, for sure.
It's an innovation. And here's the thing about it, is sometimes not sometimes, you are going to fail, and you have to be okay with that. So going off the beaten path also means that you're going to have to support risk-taking and allow it, embrace it, and be okay with it. Because from those mistakes and those errors is what.
Well, that's a good point, because that'd be a good question for Dave, is how many hours do you think you spent on this before you knew it would be a success?
Oh, right. Well, and how many other...
Because they're professionals, and they bill their time. Their time is their value.
Right.
And that probably is a significant number, but they took a risk on it.
Right.
And decided, you know what, this got some promise, let's keep going.
So I really like this about the Make Your Own Luck, that number 2, which is go off the
beaten path or the standard path.
Yeah, the standard path. And
the first one was to pay attention. Mm-hmm. The second was to get off the beaten path.
Making your own luck. So here's some strategies as Pete and I are coaching you today. What we want you to do is we want you to pick one or two. There's going to be more ideas. We have more ideas. But if you can just pick one or two that you're going to apply, because remember, that's what coaching is. We're educating first, and that's what we're doing with the radio show. Second is, how am I going to apply this? So which one am I going to pick? And then third, make sure you follow through and do it.
Very good.
Because that's what we want. That's what coaching's all about.
Okay.
Okay, so Pete, are we ready to move on to the next one?
We are, and I'll give you a little teaser here before the break. The other one is Change the Odds, the next one. Random events have an impact on every life and business. Caltech physicist Leonard, I won't pronounce his last name, told us that randomness is part of the story. With so many variables knocking around, one of the best ways to improve your luck is to keep taking chances. So in other words, keep gambling. Keep putting a percentage of your time towards some of these longer shot things. You have to keep trying.
You know what's interesting? I said this to you earlier today, Pete. And I said, a lot of people don't start their own business. And if they do you know what it's all about? It's about tenacity. It's about not giving up.
It's a big part of it.
It's not, it's as we coach and we see it, it's not letting you get down from a failure. Not many people can do that. But when they do, they're super successful.
To learn more about today's topic, call 614-306-7922. Now, back to more business talk.
Well, we're talking today about making your own luck, and we've hit some of these rules or guidelines from the author, Mr. Marsh, who wrote a book called How Luck Happens. And the first one was pay attention. The second one was to get off the standard path, and the third one was to change the odds. Let's talk about that a little bit more, Peg.
Let's talk about that.
With so many variables around, one of the best ways to improve your luck is to keep taking chances. You have to keep trying and accepting failure, because the more at-bats you have, the more likely you are to get a hit, no matter what your skill level.
So how we apply this in business is we always say, establish that you want a 10% growth. So 9 times out of 10, you will fail to get that one person who says yes in sales, or if you're increasing, if you're doing an add-on sale. Or
Right.
So understanding that the no's are actually celebrations, because a lot of people look at that as failure. But if I'm going to innovate something.
Oh, if I have a 10% conversion rate, I'm 90% failure.
Yes.
Okay. But you
have a
won
10%
10% of the time.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And so it's a way of looking at it, because what people happens, and we coach a lot of teams, Pete and I do, and we've run into that where we've decided to help increase our average dollar sale by communicating an add-on feature or by suggesting a product. And they said, oh, it doesn't work. They're always saying no. Well, we had to start having them count the no's, because they felt like they were failing, but they didn't realize.
And some of that is a kind of our how we've evolved to protect ourselves, is that we see this failure. Somebody didn't buy for me 9 times out of 10. We're going to focus on that to protect ourselves. So if we didn't have any more of that, it'd be better. Well, actually, those are good things, because it got us to the one.
Well, exactly. And it's a frame of mind. It's the way you're looking at it. And it's the way growth happens. So I really like that you've got to know how many times you failed. And remember, the faster you fail, the quicker you get there.
There you go. Okay.
The faster you fail.
Don't fear failure, and change the odds, meaning just keep getting up to bat.
Right.
Don't stop getting up there and trying, right? We had a client quite a few years ago, I don't remember the gentleman's name, but you will, who had a business where he did custom painting, and he got an opportunity to go in front of a gigantic grocery chain.
Yes.
And he was scared to death.
I remember
and
that.
He talked him off the ledge.
Well, right, because he was so failed.
Because he wasn't going to do it.
He was so afraid
Without
of
you, he
failing.
wouldn't have done it.
Yes, absolutely.
So.
And that's what it's about. It's about, it was interesting. I was talking to Allie and Lauren, who are my girls.
And how old are they?
Allie is 17, and Lauren is, I just say this because they each had a birthday, so I'm thinking about it. It's 14, which is amazing.
17 and 14, okay.
Wow. And we were talking about all the things in life, and I said, how often are you uncomfortable? How often are you pushing yourself? And because the more you're the more you are upset and uptight and worried about all the failures, it means you're growing.
It's when you grow, when you're the most uncomfortable, right?
Yes,
they call it a comfort zone for a reason, because it's nice and warm and cozy in there, right?
So as you go off on this journey, you need to know how many times are you uncomfortable.
I guess that's a good point, because as business owners, we individually need to be thinking about how do we stretch our own comfort zones, and then we also need to be thinking about our folks, our people.
Exactly.
How do we help them grow and actually want to grow?
Right, because your team, so going back to that innovation and that failure and that risk, your teams are going to have to do something that's risky to challenge themselves.
Yeah, right.
And I say that risky, not meaning it's
life
crazy
or limb
risk.
kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a measured risk that we're going to try, and darn it, you need to do that. It's not just about you doing it all; it's the team doing it as well. And are you challenging your team to get that done?
Actually, that is one of our 6 steps to keys to a winning team: is accept risk taking.
Right. Support risk taking, making sure that you A, do it, and B, have the support around it to
Well, and even if you think about internal processes or how we do things within a company, if somebody new or somebody with a new idea comes up and says, look, we might be able to save a few hours if we did it this way, or we might be able to save some costs if we do it this way, we need to listen to them. And sometimes, almost always, you take some level of risk to try changing a process, right?
Right.
But we encourage that, because that's how companies get better and better and better.
Exactly. So I like that one. So so that one was, repeat that one.
That one was changing the odds.
Changing the odds by taking some risk, by putting yourself out there.
And keep swinging the bat.
Okay,
right?
I like that.
So the next one is think of yourself as lucky.
Okay. All right, I like this one already.
And I do.
I always say I'm lucky. Look I always get the front parking space.
Oh, yeah. If you think you do, you will.
You will.
Yeah. Okay.
So what does he have to say?
All right, so psychologist Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania told us if he were looking for a lucky person, the number one ingredient I'd select would be optimism. That's who he's looking for. Early in his career, he did groundbreaking experiments on learned helplessness, showing that animals put in stressful situations beyond their control eventually stop trying to escape. People also have a tendency to give up and complain when they think they're victims of bad luck. They just give up. If you don't think you're a victim of bad luck, you're going to keep going.
And then that's what it takes. And it was just...
It's the breakthrough. That's when you get the breakthrough.
That is exactly what you and I had talked about. This was before we were on the radio show today. We sat there and we were chatting about what it takes to be successful. And I said, I really do see it. Now, keep in mind, Pete and I have been running our business 13 years.
Right.
And most businesses fail. What is it? 80% of businesses
80% in the United States in 10 years. They're gone. In 5 years, excuse me.
5 years.
5 years.
Then
that leaves, what, 20%?
20%.
In the next 5 years, 80% of them fail also.
So it leaves 5%.
Yeah, 4 or 5%
4 to
after 10 years.
are surviving after 10 years. So, Pete and I were celebrating that, saying, boy, we are one of the 5%. Right. And we started saying, what is it that made us successful? What is it that made it? And I said, the one thing
is just random chance.
No. Well, it was really, I said, you know what? Not many people would go through this because they'd give up.
Right.
Because guess what? There's going to be bad days. Guess what?
Yeah. Do you ever have a bad day? Of course you do. So what?
And you're going to just say, I'm done. I'm going to take the easy way out. But you have to keep pursuing. You have to be relentless. You have to be driven. You have to say, I believe in myself and never give up.
Oh, that's good.
And that's what our success is. That's why we have so many clients. We have clients, Pete, that come back to us after 3 or 4 years, just because, my gosh, you're still doing it. Well, of course we are. This is our world.
Mission.
This is our mission, to help businesses and people and grow. We don't want to be a secret anymore. And if what we want to do is make sure that they know we're here for them whenever they need us.
I'm going to repeat what this psychologist said. He said he did groundbreaking experiments on learned helplessness, showing that animals put in stressful situations beyond their control eventually stop trying to escape. This is one of the reasons why we should avoid over-managing people.
Because
if they don't have any control over what's going on, they're going to give up.
And they'll just say, well, we do an exercise with teams called Gilligan's Island on just that. It's if you would like us to do this with your team, it would take about an hour.
It's a communication exercise.
It's a communication leadership exercise that is phenomenal, and it's about that. So we go into your team, work with your leaders, and have them do this, and it's a great start off to a communication and what we need to do differently.
And this explains one of the things that we like to do with our clients is to help them push decision-making down as low as possible, and this is one of the reasons for it, is that the people that see what's going on can usually make a great decision. They can make it faster than if it had to wait for the chain of command to do it, and they want to have some control over their work, wherever possible.
Right.
You don't want an employee going to buying a new building that you didn't want, but that kind of thing. But
that is true.
If it's within their span of control and makes sense, we'll let them decide.
But Pete, we need them to get buy-in, guys. Right. They need to get buy-in.
Otherwise, they will give up. Mm-hmm. They'll just give up.
Well, they'll say, well, what does it matter? Nothing I say or nothing I do matters. And what we want is their inspiration. We want their excitement.
And this leads back to one of our topics from a few weeks ago that we work with all of our clients now because the economy is really good, right? People are trying to poach your employees, right? So what does that mean? We need to be really good at retention.
We have to.
We need to be great at keeping our employees.
Well, and if you want to look at any of our archive shows, so if you want to go back and see that show, and I forget what we called it, probably retention rate, keeping good people. But what you want to do is go to takeactionbusinesscoaching.com. That's our website. Right. And then when you go on the tab, you'll see in the right-hand corner 98.9. Click that on, and then that'll take you to all of our radio shows, and we archived all of our shows. There's
a show in there about retention rate. We talked about it.
Yes, retention rate. So that would be it. And if you want to hear this show in its entirety, this will be on the following week. So here's Saturday. So give us a week, and you'll hear it in its entirety.
Or if you'd like to talk to us, give us a call at 614-306-7922, and we'll find a time to talk over the phone.
Yes, so when you do want it, you say, hey, is training or coaching or something right for me? It always starts with a phone call. And we have a conversation and say, this is what it is. This is what you say. This is what I need, and then we see if it's a fit.
Right.
If it's not a fit for us and it's a fit for something else, we'll equally tell you that and give you some suggestions. But this starts with a phone call.
So, and again, going back to this concept, think of yourself as lucky. Believing that you have some control over what happens fuels trying. If there's a potentially good event in there for me, I'm going to seize the opportunity and follow up. Or the alternative is, am I going to be passive and just wait?
Right.
And that's not what we want. We want to take action on things. So just recapping on this, make your own luck. Some of these key points were pay attention, get off the standard path or the beaten path, change the odds in your favor, or keep swinging the bat, and then think of yourself as lucky. And when we get back, we're going to talk some more about this and give you a couple of examples of folks that we've worked with that have done some of these things in a positive way and a couple that didn't work out the other way.
Yeah, so we can always learn from other people's failures. That's one good way.
Could your business use some help? Call 614-306-7922 to schedule your coaching session. 614-306-7922. Now, here's more business talk.
So we're talking today about Make Your Own Luck, and it's an article that's based on a book called How Luck Happens.
I like that.
Kaplan and Marsh.
And when we started, Pete, at the beginning of the show, what did we say the intersection was for luck? I just want to revisit that because I enjoyed that.
Random chance, talent, and hard work.
So it's three things instead of opportunity and hard work. It's hard work.
And preparation.
Preparation, sorry, is talent. And then I like that random chance.
Yeah,
okay.
It's good.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
I think it's good.
Good.
So that last segment that we were talking about, think of yourself as lucky. Now, we have talked in other shows about self-care.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons we do it. Staying positive and being optimistic is one of the things. This guy, this researcher, said that if he was looking for someone, where was it, Peg? They would be looking for someone who was an optimist. I mean, that's who they'd be looking for all the time. And what are some of the things that people can do to make sure they stay in a positive mindset? Well,
it's funny because I talked to Allie and Lauren, who I told you earlier are our kids.
They've been coached their whole lives.
They've been coached their whole lives, 14 and 17, bless their souls. And one of the things I always say is there's two things I want you to have. Two things. Number one, you need to have a positive attitude. I mean, to as you're moving forward in life, not just absolutely for happiness, and also to be employable. Like if you are up against some people, what I said, positive attitude and hard worker.
Those two things.
I said, let's just concentrate on those two things. Positive attitude, hard worker will carry you through. So positive attitude. So, Mom, how can we make sure that we're positive is what you're asking. And this isn't just for children, but for anybody.
Right.
So one of the things we like to say is making sure that you have a gratitude journal.
Okay, so expressing gratitude
right.
in some form. A gratitude journal is one way to write down once a day something that you're grateful for.
Right, at the very least. And keep it in a journal so you can visit it. Because you know what? If we're going to focus on what's great, we're going to get more of it. And so when we're in, even if you're in a down moment, if you have that moment where you feel like everything's your way, you need to sit down and write down what's going great. Because that is important. So,
it's a reminder that a lot of things are generally going great.
And keep in mind, Pete, that 75% of our thoughts are automatically negative.
Right.
So knowing that, how are you going to struggle against that? And then keep this in mind, that us as human beings are, and we did that for survival, right?
Yeah.
We're negative for a survival basis.
Right.
Now, keep this in mind. If you have a whole bunch of negative consequences happening, whatever it was, let's say you lose a client. Let's say you have a poor customer service. Let's say you lose your top employee.
Right.
You can have that compound. That can really get you in the dumps. And so we're going to give you 4 more strategies, but one being gratitude.
Yeah, so that's a big one. That's a good one. And it's really self-care is what we call it, is how do you take care of yourself so that your employees, your customers, your suppliers, the people that are around you all day long feel good when they're with you.
Absolutely.
Not that you're being Pollyanna-ish,
right.
but that you're as positive as you can for the moment. So then other strategies are affirmations, right?
Absolutely. And what's an affirmation?
Affirmation is, I'm a great dad when I spend time with the kids doing things that we both enjoy.
So it's saying something that is positive. And what it can be, though, is it needs to have some truth to it. Because if you say something like, let's say you're not a salesperson and you say, my affirmation is, I am great at cold calling and I'm the best in the world. If you don't really feel that way, that will actually work against you. Your mind will be like, no, you're a liar. That's stupid.
So you might say, I'm in the process of becoming the best salesman in my territory as I'm training 3 hours a week.
Right.
Or I'm developing my skill at this.
So one of mine is, I am disciplined in what I do, and it shows because I work out 4 times a week.
Right. And you actually do.
And I actually do.
Yeah.
And when I started saying that, by the way, I did not work out 4 times a week.
Right.
I said, I'm working out 1 time, then 3, and I built up to it. So it can be something in the future that you're going to go and achieve.
Okay.
And
so those were affirmations, which leads into the next one, which is exercise.
Oh, there we go.
Because that does help you stay positive.
Well, eating right and exercise is a really big part. I mean, keep in mind that your body is, and what you eat equally really can have, like it was funny, our trainer Nate, who we've had Nate here.
Yeah, and he eats very well.
Oh, he eats very well.
Yeah.
And one of the things he talked about is carbohydrates and the impact that they have on your body and your system and how they make you tired. And being able to eat healthy and exercise is really an important part of. And what we like to say is pick one for now. If you're not doing one, do
one
the
of
other.
these self-care things. Yeah.
Pick one, even if like, okay, I'm going to start exercising, and the best exercise is, Pete?
The one you will do.
Yes. Walking does count as exercise.
Yeah, it does.
So a 10-minute walk if you're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
But you want those endorphins is what we're looking for. We want endorphins with the exercise.
Right. It does make you feel better.
It does make you feel better.
It helps your frame of mind.
Okay, so that's 3.
So what are the other ones? Reading. We're listening to an audio book.
Learning, yes.
Learning.
You know,
That's another one.
podcasts are so easy to listen to. They're just so easy. And
You've got me going on them now. And they're great. You're in the car, you pop the thing on, and you listen to it for 3-4 minutes.
And like our radio show, after today, the goal is that you feel better. You're listening to it. You're feeling better. And you know what? There's a few things I know I can apply. It gets you excited, starts concentrating on good things. Great things happen.
Yep.
So constantly learning. And if you are in charge of a team, our challenge to you is how are you challenging your team members to learn? Are you reading a book together? Right. Are they reading articles? Are they going to training? How much are you learning?
Well, we mentioned earlier in the show that if you're working 200 days a year, like a lot of folks are, how many days a year are you spending on your own development?
Yes.
Or your managers?
And what'd you say, Pete? And you said this last break or before the break.
10%.
Yeah.
Would be a nice goal to have.
So 20 days of
But
learning.
it should be more than 0, right?
Well, we do every bit of 20 days of learning.
Yeah,
every
we do.
bit of it. With all the conferences we go to.
Yep.
And so, like, just alone, we have our clients come to 4 a year because we do a 90-day planning session.
Right.
So, I mean, and then
there's always a learning segment in that.
Right. And then we do a conference once a year with all of our clients. That is 3 days. So making
North American conference.
Yeah, North
then we do a global conference.
No, I meant for our clients.
The client
PEF.
conference.
Yeah. So our clients all learn with us.
Right.
Okay, good. Okay, we're missing one more. Well, actually, we're missing a couple more.
On the self-care things?
Yes. Meditation.
Very good.
Meditation, making sure. It was interesting because I was just with a client yesterday, giving him our meditation tape and making sure that are you spending time on getting your mind right? And there's a great book on meditation, Pete. Well, it's not necessarily a book on meditation. It's a great book called The Answer by John, and I'm mispronouncing his name,
Assaraf.
Mm-hmm. And it's a great one, and he talks a little bit about meditation in that. So meditation is one. And then the last one is laughter. It's
a sixth one.
Yeah. Making sure that we are spending the time and even searching out laughter. Like if you're down, why don't you go to YouTube? We have this great resource and find a funny video.
Find something that's funny at least once a day. You've got to do that.
And you know, as you're looking at meetings, that might be a fun way for you to start your meetings too. Why not start your meetings with a 2-minute inspirational or funny message?
Good. Very good.
So again, this was what we just went through was based on how to press your luck. And this is Peg and Pete with Business Talk. How to increase your luck. You had mentioned it being making sure you're in a positive state of mind. So with that, we went through six steps you could do to make sure you're positive. I'll run through them real quick. Exercise, learning or reading, meditation. We just talked about laughing. We talked about a gratitude journal and affirmations.
Get them all?
Got them all. So making sure you got all of those.
Great. So key traits, again, if you want to have more great luck happen to you, is attention, persistence, and optimism. He's got another little story in here. Is difficult moments that seem like bad luck can become part of a bigger picture, a happier picture. And this is tough to see when you're in them, right?
Right.
Best-selling author Lee Child suggests seeing bad luck as a chance that it has come your way. He started writing the Jack Reacher thrillers only after he was fired from a television job in the UK that he really loved. He didn't want to get fired. He was really angry, really frustrated, and felt betrayed, but he channeled it all into finding a new thing. And, you know, this gentleman has made a lot on his books and great movies, too.
Oh,
the
that's
Jack
a
Reacher
great
stuff.
story, is what are you going to do when
he
something
was fired
does
from a
turn?
great job, and he thought, this is horrible and nasty. But he
love
got
it.
busy.
That's what it's all about. I
right?
love it, Pete. That is, we're all dealt cards. What are we going to do with it? And that's up to you because guess what? You can respond and make a difference on your outcome. So what are you going to do?
Very good.
And Pete, one thing I did want to talk a little bit about, I know we're coming up at the end, but let's talk a little bit about our 90-day plan.
Oh, absolutely. It is June 8th. It's in Grandview, and we have a couple of seats. If anybody is interested in coming as our guests, we'll have 40 to 50 other business owners and managers there. And again, it's a 90-day planning session, so you'll create with our help a plan for the next quarter. And we do have a training segment, a learning segment all the time. And this time we have about 45 minutes from one of our clients, and it's Jim Pontius, and he's of Hutchison Media. He's going to talk about marketing.
Right, exactly. And if you want to bring someone with you,
sure.
Because we have about 40 people in this session. And the goal, again, is to walk away with what are you going to do in the next 90 days? And a lot of times what we're running into with businesses and business owners and managers and executives, sometimes it's not what you're going to do, but it's what you're not going to do.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So if you're super busy right now, it's generally because, number one, you haven't said no.
Or you made too many promises.
You made too many
promises. To yourself and to others, or both.
Exactly. And so what the 90-day plan does is it gives you a structured way of deciding what we're going to focus on, and then we want to create a parking lot, we call it, of what we are going to put on for another time.
We're not going to focus.
We're going to give ourselves permission to not work on this. And then once the 90-day plan is done, we want you to go back and communicate it with your team.
Yeah, those in larger organizations, we love that last thing you said. I think is really important, and it would help every organization is to say, look, guys, here's the critical few that we're going to work on over the next 3 months, and here are the things that are on hold for the moment, or we're just gathering some information. We're not taking action on those yet. And it really reduces the frustration levels with folks, and it gives them some hope because you're going to focus on every resource on a small number of very important things. And if you tell everybody in the team, they'll support when the support is needed.
Right, exactly. And so if you're interested, this is complimentary. It's a $300 to $500 value depending on how many people are coming. Call Pete at
614-306-7922.
Or you can go to takeactionbusinesscoaching.com and you can reach us that way. Takeactionbusinesscoaching.com.
Great.
This has been Business Talk, your business, your success, sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed were those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given was not intended to replace that of your business advisor. For more information about the topics discussed today, call 614-306-7922. 614-306-7922. Tune in next week at this time for more Business Talk, your business, your success.